It's been a big week for retail this week, with some companies highlighting a slowdown in discretionary spending, while economic data continues to reflect a resilient U.S. consumer. Joining us now is Manish Chandra, CEO of Poshmark, to discuss this and dive further into the retail space. Manish, I want to start broad first. What is your read on the state of the consumer? Are we seeing a slowdown? Is the consumer still resilient in spending? What is the state of the Poshmark consumer?
The consumer is definitely resilient. We're seeing a lot of robustness in demand. Of course, they're adjusting their budgets as the world tightens up a little bit. So they're definitely being a little bit more economical in their purchases, but the frequency is still very high. So we see a pretty consistent and resilient consumer, which is evidenced by our resilient cohorts that we see in the business.
And one thing that's trending on your site is Taylor Swift. And it seems like this summer we're hearing Barbie core, Taylor Swift, and Beyonce really driving the economy here. What does that ultimately mean for sales at Poshmark? Are you seeing an increase of people looking for this sort of merchandise?
Yes, I mean, I think when you think of Taylor Swift and Taylor Swift concert, we've seen Taylor Swift items go up 57% year over year. Fringe dresses go up 20%, but Barbie brand has trended 340% year over year. So this whole girl power trend is really driving a lot of growth in consumption. And we believe it's here to stay, at least for a period of time.
And I'm curious, you mentioned consumers may be looking to spend a little bit differently and being more careful about those spends. Do you have a read on trade downs, and if people are trading down from a brand they maybe used to buy to something else, or trading down for maybe a smaller size product or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, what we are seeing is not specific data on brands, but what we are seeing is that as people are investing, so for example, if you look at just the units, our school supply volume is up 50% year over year. Just between June and July, school supplies are up 120%. Kids backpack up 68%. And what you see is a little bit of mix and match of the brands. The great thing about Poshmark and the unique thing about Poshmark is you can find some very premium brands at really great prices, especially if you buy them used.
I want to touch a little bit on those premium brands. Tapestry, of course, they own Coach, they own Kate Spade. We are seeing those brands trend on your site, but the company did signal that they're expecting a slowdown in consumer demand in the next year. What does that ultimately mean for a resale market like Poshmark?
Well, if you think of our market, it's fueled by two different forces. It's fueled on the one side by people shopping the site, but many of our shoppers are sellers on the site, or vice versa. Many sellers are shoppers. So it also gives people a chance to make money. And a lot of our economy is circular. More than half the GMV that we do is circulated back in the site by the sellers. So the powerful thing here is that buy and sell economy is less impacted with these changes in the broader macro consumer demographic.
And I'm curious, I want to know a little bit more about this. I'm looking at Bosch Lens right now and trying to figure out how this new search tool works. What does that offer, and how is it different from maybe prior offerings for customers when they're using the site?
Bosch Lens is something we developed in partnership with our new parent, Naver Corporation out of Korea. And what Bosch Lens allows us to do is to literally take a picture and search through these items and find the best matching items. So for example, if you see these unique shoes that somebody's wearing, and if you can take a picture and search for it, you can probably find those shoes, not just from that brand, but other similar looking shoes from other brands that be matching. And that's pretty unique about it, because typically when you're looking for a specific set of shoes, you might be looking for one brand, and this exposes it to multiple brands at multiple price points.
Manish, is this using AI? Is this artificial intelligence that we keep hearing about? Is that at work in this?
Yes, there's definitely machine learning and AI working in it. You're using models to understand how images can be mapped into text, and text can then be mapped into search. We also use machine learning and AI for our recommendation engine, Just Picked for You, and we feed it into style tags. And as you look at sort of the future of AI, there's a lot going on that we are working on that can be very impactful for the resale community.
As you just noted before, your inventory is absolutely massive when you think about how much you have to sift through it. Right now in retail, from big box retailers and beyond, we're hearing about the problem of retail theft, the problem of shrink ultimately, broadly. How do you ensure that people aren't reselling stolen goods on the site?
Yeah, we have a fairly big moderation team, as well as a very prompt reporting system. So when we think about our business, a lot of it is built on us detecting but also consumers and different people reporting. And the speed with which our system responds has been very powerful. If you go back, many years back, 2 or 3 years back, when we had the riots and there were items coming on site, we were able to fairly quickly take them down and also work with law enforcement on that. So we are, as prompt as our community and our systems are, and continue to work and expand that area to make sure that we remain a safe and, a wonderful place for people to buy and sell.
Manish, the last time you were on with us, you talked a lot about influencers and that being a big part of who's buying and selling on Poshmark. And I feel like influencers often give us a look at maybe what's cool now, but what's also going to be cool in a couple months, right? And sort of where those trends are headed. I'm curious what you guys are seeing from those influencers right now and what's most popular.
Yeah, so girl power, as we talked a little bit about, is a huge trend shaping up. The second one, with Messi drawing larger than life crowds on soccer, we have got the football frenzy going up. Soccer jerseys, their sales are up 100% YOY. Adidas Gazelles, their sales are up 68% YOY. And then another trend is SoCal vibes, which is sort of very much like the Southern California thing happening, laid back, surfer chic. And what we see, smiley face print tees and crew necks up 25% YOY, and Abercrombie dresses up 45% YOY. So girl power, football frenzy, SoCal vibes are trends that we are seeing that will continue to drive for the next few months. And as you know, these trends shift very quickly.
What do you think is your biggest concern right now about the U.S. economy and broader implications that we could see on the consumer?
Well, I think the U.S. consumer is fairly robust. I'm sort of more concerned about some of the economic news coming out of China, which ultimately you may think that we're not connected to it, but I think it can indirectly impact our own supply chains and our sort of both demand chains and supply chains. So the global economy affecting the U.S. consumer is more of my worry than the U.S. itself.
And just to hit, closer to home here, we are continuing to hear about the impact of the upcoming return of student loan repayments. Are you worried about that impacting consumer transactions and foot traffic to your website?
Well, for us, I think the big thing that drives our website is really the buying and selling of the stuff from our closets. So in that sense, it's not a huge issue. The part that is amazing about the Poshmark economy is that you have millions of closets that can really cater to these fast-moving trends and allow people to circulate the things. So we're not super worried about it because our consumers are really both the buyers and the sellers on the platform.